What's up, guys? I'm Andre.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Nico. Y esto es Your Habla.
This is Podcast 1, Energy Benefits of Nuclear Power and International Relations.
So, the need for nuclear power became extremely prevalent during the Yom Kippur War in the Middle East in 1973, and it was because it drove up the price of oil drastically.
Yeah, and it's still extremely important now with the world being at a critical juncture with the exploration of clean and sustainable energy options. It's become imperative to our future to explore the option of nuclear energy. With the ongoing concerns of climate change, resource depletion, and the need for energy security, it's crucial to identify the viable solutions to power our future.
Yeah, and nuclear fission releases millions of times more energy than any chemical reaction, making it an extremely promising energy source to be harnessed by humans.
Yeah, there's massive potential behind nuclear energy, and it stands out as a promising contender in the quest for sustainable power. Its potential not only lies in its ability to generate electricity, but also in its capacity to significantly reduce carbon emissions.
With it being so great, I'm interested in discussing this because the U.S. currently only has 93 nuclear power reactors. However, it used to have 111 peaking in 1990. So even though it's a great form of energy, we aren't utilizing it enough.
It's really important to address the benefits and risks of this topic, with it being, such a powerful resource and possibly used as a weapon.
Yeah. So, to talk about that, one of the things I want to talk about first is the history and the chemistry of nuclear energy. Yeah. So, during the Yom Kippur War, one of the most popular and successful nuclear reactors that was created was called the light water reactor, which used uranium-235. And the reason that it used that element was because it's particularly unstable. And when a proton is added to it, the uranium absorbs the proton and becomes completely unstable, which creates radiation. And then this radiation then heats the water surrounding it, which is harnessed and then turned into energy.
So, is there anything that makes it particularly dangerous in the process?
Well, yeah. For starters, after nuclear energy is harnessed, nuclear waste is created in the form of plutonium, which is an extremely poisonous and dangerous element that takes tens of thousands of years to become harmless. And on top of its poisonous to humans, plutonium is able to be reprocessed, which means it can be harnessed for new fuel or nuclear weapons. But humans don't yet have the facilities to turn it into fuel. All we can use plutonium for is nuclear weapons. So it's strictly a harmful element. And that's not even mentioning the disasters that have been caused by trying to harvest nuclear energy. In our 65 years of nuclear power usage, there have been 7 major accidents, 3 of which were not able to be contained and caused huge disasters. Mainly radiation leaking into the surrounding environment, making it completely unlivable for humans and animals.
Well, like any energy source, nuclear energy comes with its risks and its benefits. There's many unspoken about issues with fossil fuels and oils and such like that, polluting our air and just being generally bad for the environment to harvest. But nuclear energy has been making technological advancements to reduce its impact on the environment and increasing its sustainability.
Yeah, and then also less people have died from nuclear energy than any other source of energy. Wind, natural gas, hydro energy, even solar power. Less people have died from nuclear energy than solar power.
I would not have expected that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and there's many issues with fossil fuels, and combustion in fossil fuels release vast amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, escalating the problems with global warming. There's also limited availability of these resources, so there's a finite number of fossil fuels that we're able to mine, and eventually we will run out of them. So we need to look to the future for other energy resources.
Yeah, climate change will definitely get worse if we don't find an alternative, sustainable energy source soon.
Yeah, and one of the major problems that we're having is we're not utilizing it And according to Pew Research, a majority of Americans say they favor nuclear power plants to generate electricity in their country.
Yeah, we're kind of phasing them out in the U.S. Like, I know California only has one nuclear energy power plant left in the state, and we used to have a lot more. And it makes sense to have more, but they've been being put out of commission because people do not want to invest the time and research into adopting nuclear energy into our power grid.
One upside I did see from the New York Times said that the Biden administration has established a $6 billion fund to help troubled nuclear power operators keep their reactors running, and so they don't shut down. And also from the same article from New York Times written by Ivan Penn, a bipartisan measure introduced last year was aimed at preserving and expanding nuclear energy in the U.S., and the bill was backed by multiple senators. One of those senators being Shelley Capito, a Republican of West Virginia, and she came up with a very good idea that I thought was actually pretty smart. She argued that we should use old locations for coal-fired power plants we could reuse that land for sites for nuclear reactors.
Yeah.
On top of the sustainability benefits that nuclear energy has, it also will create more jobs and economic growth if we start to implement this power into our daily energy resources.
So do you guys think it's the energy of the future?
I think so, personally. I've done a lot of research and talks about nuclear energy in the past in school.
Yeah.
It really seems to be the most reliable source we have right now.
I think if the government can implement it and they don't keep making excuses and about not wanting to spend the money to improve the technology, then I think it could definitely be viable for many years in the future.
Yeah, and there are risks, but we as humans are going to get better at containing those risks and keeping them from happening in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And these these positive impacts, they're lasting. They lead to positive impacts on the environment, the economy, global efforts to combat climate change, and they can even improve international relations between countries if countries share nuclear technologies with each other and learn how to make it a more sustainable and safe resource. I think nuclear energy can have a opposite effect that it's had in the past. Instead of separating countries from each other, I think it can bring us together in the future.
I agree. I think a lot of people like to make excuses and just look at the past for being scared to try new things in the future. For example, a scientist and director of nuclear power and safety, Edward Lyman, he said that the industry knows it does not have a good story to tell and it's plagued by the same issues over and over. And it's just another person with power that is just not interested in trying.
And there's no one, or it's not like there's no one trying to prevent the weaponry of nuclear energy. There's treaties and non-profit organizations such as the NPT, or Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. They've been established for a long time now, and these agreements aim to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons while allowing for the peaceful use of nuclear energy.
Yeah, another peaceful summit I read about was that leaders announced a nuclear summit for 2024 in Brussels next year, and they will gather to highlight the role of nuclear energy and to reduce global challenges.